That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild. Strawberry ice, bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's fine is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And always, I'm coming to you live from this glorious place down here. It's the Ice Cave.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need your shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything, I mean anything. Landscaping requires, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. Their website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
That's right. We're down at Moorline Lager House every Sunday for the Bengals home games. 3 hours for every single Bengals home game. We're also going to be down there this Sunday for the watch party as we watch Joe Flacco make his debut against a team he's already played this year and beat them, the Green Bay Packers. So come on down. The watch party, just make reservations. That's all you got to do. And that's just so they know how many people are coming. So you get a table, all that stuff. But we got $5 drafts, $5 will drinks, $5 shots, $5 wines. We going to give away prizes. I do Bengals trivia, playing some music. We're having some fun. So if you guys want to Flacco around and find out, come on down to the Moorline Lager House. What is up to everybody in the chat? We got a small group today. We got Brad and a stranger and Tony Blazin and Lindsay. What is up? All right. So Joe Flacco introduced himself to his teammates and everything, and he's had some pretty good practices. Sounds like he has a photographic memory. If you listen to Jamar Chase, where Zach Taylor read the play to him and he spit it out word for word. I think Flacco's done this a time or two, so sounds pretty good so far. I think he's going to be as prepared as he possibly can. Now, one thing I want to put this out there, and shout out to my source here, Brandon Lewis Sedman, if I'm saying his name right. I hope I am. He gave me some stats here on other starting quarterbacks that the Bengals could have traded for, some of them that you guys wanted them to trade for. But these are the records as starters since 2023. Andy Dalton, the guy I wanted, 1-5. Drew Lock, 2-5. Jameis Winston, who everybody wanted because he'd be so much fun and everything entertaining to watch it, 2-5. Jimmy G, 3-4. Sam Howell, 4-13. You got Russell Wilson at 13-16. The only one that is actually 500 is Kirk Cousins, which we couldn't afford him anyway because, well, it's not that they couldn't afford him. They don't want to pay that much money for a backup quarterback and be as silly as the Atlanta Falcons are. But our boy, Joe Flacco, since 2023 is 7-8 as a starter in the NFL. He's about to be 8-8 come this Sunday. So we want to talk about Thursdays. Thursday night football. We got the Giants and whoever they're playing. I can't remember. I just lost my train of thought of who they're playing. But We can talk that. We can talk Bengals, but we're here to talk some fantasy football and Bengals, of course. So if you guys got any fantasy football questions, start, trade, bench, cut, whatever, we got Robert Baker from Fantasy Bankroll. What's
I like
up,
that
Rob?
intro, Ice. Thanks, man.
Thank you. I worked on
Hello,
it all day.
everybody.
What's going on, brother?
Same old shit, man. Ready for some football. Can't believe we're in week 6 already, man.
Tell me about it. I know. So real quick before we get into fancy stuff here, what was your thoughts when they first made the trade for Joe Flacco? How are you feeling about going into Sunday? Just your thoughts in general of the state of the Bengals right now.
I mean, like we were talking about off air before we got on here, I think, I think no matter what choice they made, somebody was going to find something to complain about. And there's obviously no perfect choices out there. So,
right.
They made the decision they thought was best. And as far as what I think Flacco brings, he's like we were talking, right? He's seen it all. Like you said too, right?
Right.
Chase Brown was talking about how they could read the plays back, and he was just, regurgitating it straight forward.
Yep.
So he's seen the Packers, so he's game playing against that defense already. So I think, there's a lot to like, and we could talk some numbers that me and you were talking about before. So I got some numbers for as far as what he looked like last year when he was with the Colts too, and how that might translate to the offense this year. So the state of the Bengals, I mean, could it get worse? I mean, so we're optimistic, which is better than we were last week, which
right,
was
better than what we were
in the dumps as far as it can get. So I think if you trotted out, I hate to dump on Jake Browning, but if you trotted him out again,
we couldn't.
People were already going to riot. If you trotted him out again and he had another one of those games, who knows? And like, a lot of people talk this week, right, too. I don't think it's just the fans, too. You've got to look and think like, all right, yeah, Chase got some numbers last week in garbage time, but he wants to compete, too. And, he wants good balls. He don't want to be I think I saw a stat that was great, too. He has more tackles than freaking, what's his name? I just blanked on his name. The Packers traded for Cowboys.
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. Why did I blank on it? Yeah, but he's got more tackles than him.
He's got more. Chase has got more tackles than Micah Parsons. That's not good. We don't want that.
And that was all literally in 3 straight plays. So, so state of the Bengals right now, it's up slightly from last week. So I like what Flacco might be able to bring as far as, especially fantasy wise, to if you have Chase or Higgins or even Chase Brown. So
right, which that's a great point too. That is I think Flacco will get the ball to Chase Brown. We'll get the ball to Mike G. We'll get the ball to Noah Fant. He'll use those checkdowns as security blankets, not as his first read like Jake Browning was doing. I mean, he kept going over the middle, and Jamar Chase and Gesicki and all these guys are open down the field. Joe Flacco, I don't think he's going to miss those.
No, and last year when he was with the Colts, Jonathan Taylor averaged over 4 targets a game. So he's comfortable throwing to the running back position. You already know that. So,
right.
And also last year when he was with the Colts, Josh Downs was getting over 10 targets a game. So if Josh Downs is getting over 10 targets a game, then Jamar Chase should have like 25 targets a game. So that's a good way to look at it. And plus, he was throwing to Michael Pittman last year, and not that I don't, T. Higgins is obviously a better player than Michael Pittman, but very similar in the way they operate, right? Jump ball outside. So, and he was fairly successful with him too, over, I think, 20 targets around that same stretch where he was a starter. So if he can get that same production, or at least that same production, then the offense will operate better. And we saw it last week. We talked about, a lot of people talked about it this week. The defense looked great against the Lions, honestly, for a team.
I didn't think they looked bad. I didn't think they looked bad at all, to be honest.
Yeah, and you don't put them in that short, they're out there, on the field a lot, short field, quick turnarounds, no rest. So I think, it could have been better had the offense just done even a little bit for them. So exactly. That's a lot to look forward to.
Exactly. Just like WDN today says, Flacco could read defenses faster, find open guys, and has a better arm than Jake. His arm is ridiculous. I mean, let's be honest. If he didn't have that arm, he wouldn't be playing football still. No matter what, his arm is elite still at 40 years old. So I mean, those are the thing is he can read defenses faster. He can get the ball out quicker, make faster decisions. The stuff that Jake wasn't doing, and everybody keeps. I've gotten so many comments on my different reels and things. They're like, oh, well, he can't move. He's going to be behind this terrible offensive line. I was like, guys, Joe Burrow last year, when we were cooking, Joe was getting rid of the ball really freaking quick. And that's what Joe Flacco is going to do. So we just went from one Joe to another. Our Joe's better than your Joe. We'll find out. But
now we have all the Joes.
Well, we have all the Joes. But that's the whole point to this is he can process stuff, and there's nothing Joe Flacco hasn't seen. And plus he's already seen the Packers once this year. I think I saw a stat. He could be the first quarterback to beat the same team in the same year since Jack Kent did it in, I think, 69. There's only one other guy that did it, and he beat the Titans, who turned into be the Jets.
Yeah.
So this could happen again. And I don't know if you ever watched the Pat McAfee show, but Ty Schmidt is going crazy. He's like, he's literally threatening to kill himself if Joe Flacco beats his Packers again. He's like, if Joe Flacco beats the Packers, I'm going to quietly go upstairs. I'm going to get a bath. I'm going to take a toaster oven. I'm going to drop it in the water. It's what Ty Schmidt said on the Pat McAfee show. So
no offense to him, but we need him to take that electric bath because we need to get back to 3-3.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I mean, even last year, just looking at that short stint that he had with the Colts, like we were talking about, right? That's kind of what I was referring back to mainly when I was doing research, trying to look at stuff because obviously the Browns suck this year. So he's had crazy amounts of, like, I think Jake Lisco was talking about, he's had 10% drops, which is ridiculous. So one out of every 10 passes that was touching the receiver's hands is getting dropped. That's crazy. So last year he was right on average with his yards per attempt in the league. I think he was 7.1, and the league average last year was 7.1. He was just below the deep accuracy completion percentage, which is like 41%, and he was at 37%. So he still got it there. And like I said, he's playing with better players. So
way better.
You have to assume, right? Like, look what Jamar Chase was doing for Browning, and we know we saw what Browning, like, I don't mean to dump on him, but he was in his head, wasn't making the decisions, and Chase is still going for over 102 touchdowns. So just get somebody that's, going to put the ball, and even some of those ones we talked about last week where Chase was just strolling, that you could have just dumped some and got some to him. So
right.
Flacco will find those if they're there. So
right, exactly. That's where the quarterback play in general is going to get better, and that's where I go back. The Minnesota game, I'm throwing away. That one, I don't even think we had a competent quarterback in that one. We turned the ball over too many times. But I think in Denver last week in Detroit, if we had competent quarterback play, I don't know if we're winning them, but we're at least in the game and we have a chance to win those games. And that's all we want right now. If Joe Flacco can keep us above water and get us to, I don't know, I said on my video, 7 wins, which would be great. We're in this thing. If he keeps us 500, we're in this thing. And that, as I keep trying to tell everybody, this division is wide open. The Ravens are, I've said this a million times, the Ravens are 1-4. And I'm sorry, and I still think we could beat the Steelers back-to-back times with Joe Flacco. I sure as hell thought we could do it with Joe Burrow. So I really think we can do it with Joe Flacco. So,
and the Ravens got the Rams this week, and the Rams are playing lights out right now. So Lamar Jackson's probably missing another game. Derrick Henry's looked like shit, and the Rams are the best against the run anyway. So that you're hoping that Cooper Rush comes in and defeats the Rams, who are playing like one of the best teams right now. So, and not to mention the fact that the Ravens defense is giving up the most points to quarterbacks and receivers right now. So, and you got Puka and Stafford, who are just on fire. Did you see that stat? Speaking of Stafford, I know we're mainly Bengals, but the 2 highest yardage totals in NFL season for receivers in history is Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp, both who were quarterbacked by Matthew Stafford. And Puka's on pace to beat both of those and be quarterbacked by Matthew Stafford. Just ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous.
Shout out here to Ronnie Ron. He's right. He's Ice. The magic number is to get to 7 wins. Hopefully 7 wins, and Joe Burrow will be back. And that's the thing. And we're not getting any updates on this, but I listen to Locked On Bengals a lot. And James Rapine, and I trust his reporting against anybody's, literally said Joe Burrow is working his ass off to try to get back. And I don't know what he could do right now because he's only, I think, 2 weeks out of surgery. I don't know if he's rehab. I don't know anything. They're not telling us anything.
He's building rock pyramids. Didn't you see? He's channeling the flow, Ice. Right.
He's doing anything he can to get back here. And that's where people keep going, Joe's not coming back. I'm like, I'm telling you, if that man is a psycho. That man, if he can get back and play, especially if this team's got a shot. You better be damn right he's going to come back. So just keep us afloat, Joe Flacco. Get Joe Burrow back in here, and who knows? Like I said this on the show earlier this week. What if, they always have the NFL films. They do the season review when you win the Super Bowl. What a freaking great story! We start out with,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, we lose Joe Burrow. Jake Browning comes in. He plays like ass. They trade for Joe Flacco. He keeps us afloat. Then Superman comes back, and his name's Jackpot Joey, and we go to the Super Bowl. I'm here for it, baby. Let's go.
Well, I think the thing that, and I don't know, I've never had surgery on a turf toe, had turf toe like that or anything, but like, I think the thing that helps Burrow, what they're saying, like, as far as whatever he's doing, because he's going to get the top-notch treatment. I think it's the best part is that it's not on his plant foot, right? It's not on his drive foot.
Yes,
so
yes.
If he can get to some weird, and they get some, $10,000 shoe that keeps all the pressure off that toe when he comes back, then, I think that's what really helps is, like, if it was on the right foot, I think there's no way if it's that bad, right? He has to drive off it. So
right.
I think that's the big part as far as working his ass off that's how I take it as, right? Like, he can't work, like you said, 2 weeks after surgery.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anybody who's had surgery, you're not doing much.
Right.
So what he's probably working on is, like, how can we format and how would I be able to kind of get out there with still not fully 100%. And like you said, we know if Burrow comes back, he's the ultimate competitor. So
absolutely.
Roll him out there in a wheelchair, bro.
I've seen some AI videos of that. Them out there.
Chase Brown, just push him and then, like, let him, throw it in there.
Right. Exactly. And I like this. Just like WDN today says, I don't think, and I've said this before, I don't think they trade for Joe Flacco unless they feel his timeline is to return. I've said the same thing too. And other people are like, oh, well, they did that to appease the fans. But I'll take that too, because there's so many years that we acted or felt like they didn't give a crap about what we thought. And, and so however you want to look at it, they did it to appease it. We got shot to win. All right. That on Sunday, we actually have a legit shot to win. And I feel like last 2 weeks, we have not had that. We got it now.
Well, like you said, too, this stretch was already, and we talked about this last week, too. We knew this stretch, even with Burrow, was going to be like the toughest stretch of the season, right? We knew, like, no matter what, this is going to be, we're away at the Vikings with the tough defense. We're away on prime time at the Broncos with the tough defense. We've got the Packers who are going to be tough, right? So we knew the stretch was going to be a tough one no matter what. So I think, like, the silver lining, like you said, is that the Ravens are having a down year. So right. That other stretch of the season where we were like, okay, at the end of the year when we're getting into the end of November, beginning of December is going to be tough. The Bills still look tough, but now the Ravens at 2-3, right? 2 games in 3 weeks. Yeah, that might not be as bad, man. Maybe Lamar's still hurt and he's missing, time. Who knows? Henry's not running like he was last year. So there's a chance that, like you said, Flacco can keep us afloat. I think the 7 wins is a reasonable ask looking at the schedule right now.
It's not. That's where people act like I'm crazy about it. It's not crazy. They could. And the thing is, the Raptors have not played well with Lamar. Their defense is ass. So I mean, get Joe Flacco in here and see what happens. So we got the fantasy football starting here. People are got to get their teams set. So if for a Thursday night football tonight, if you have any of these players, defenses, or anything like that, what do you suggest that people do for the guys who are playing tonight?
So if looking at I'll look at the Eagles' perspective first right there. So, this isn't even like a news break to anybody. If you've had any of the Eagles players, right? If you've got the rushing game for the Eagles, then they're a must play every week, right? Especially this week going against the Giants. That's given up, I think my notes here, given up the second most rushing fantasy points to the running back. And, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley's not doing what he did last year, but they're still going up against, somebody who's kind of porous. And AJ Brown continues to talk. And Devontae Smith got some yards last week, which was good sitting on my bench. But I still don't trust any of the receivers. I don't trust any of the Eagles receivers. And the Giants have been relatively okay against receivers and quarterbacks so far for as bad as they've done. And I think the Eagles are just going to continue to do what they've done. I think they're going to continue to try and pound it. Jalen Hurts, when in doubt, is just going to keep the ball on the ground. They are going to give the ball to Barkley. And, like, I know Barkley last year had his revenge game, but I still think he's always going to have that little motivation going against the Giants to give it, a little extra for them. So I think the ground game, if you got Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts on that side, start him and keep AJ Brown and Devontae Smith on your bench. Now, I say that too. It's like when I said last week, like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off. Maybe I'm jinxing him there. That's good for the Bengals. But I just don't trust him yet until he can show me something passing wise, other than the one game where they kind of were forced to. Then I'm going to say, as far as if I have them, I'm sitting them. So, And on the Giants side of things, it's almost the same setup. The Eagles last year were the top team against running backs in fantasy. By like a point. They gave up a full point less per game than everybody. This year, it's kind of the opposite. They're doing really good against receivers, but they're not doing so good against the running back position. They're not horrible. They're not, the Bengals position, but
yeah,
I won't talk about that. But they're not doing what they were doing. So as far as tonight, if you're playing, and we already know Jackson Dart hasn't thrown the ball. Well, he's still a rookie, still trying to figure it out, right? So they're utilizing his legs. Same thing I would say with the Eagles, right? If you've got Dart and you don't have anybody else you can start for him, he's been playing good. But I think Dart and Scatterbo I think they're going to have to lean on them if they want to go, because obviously Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton they're not the same caliber of receivers that they are used to dealing with. Theo Johnson's okay, but I think they're going to lean on the running game. They're going to try and control the clock, just like the Eagles are going to want to do, because if they do get into a shootout, as much as the Eagles aren't passing, they have the better players.
All right, Shannon here. Got a question. So should I sit Brown?
So, okay, it always depends on who you've got, right? You've got to look at it. But if I have anybody, I'm talking even mid-level players right now. If they're averaging 8 to 10 points in a standard scoring league, they're probably scoring more than AJ Brown's been scoring you. So I would recommend sitting him if you have even a mid-level player. Now, I don't know what your roster looks like. If you can give me a couple players, I'll tell you who I would pick. But I'm not recommending starting AJ Brown. I'm picking, like I said, even mid-level guys right now. I just trust them more.
Right. Now, I had a question for you. With Saquon Barkley, as big of a year he had last year, is it that surprising that he's kind of having a down year this year? That's where I was kind of like, I don't know if I'd be so high on him, because running backs after having a 2,000-yard season don't have, of course, not gonna have a 2,000-yard season, but they're down from what their average is normally.
Yeah, I thought, like you said, exactly. I thought it was going to be a struggle. The thing I thought that would help him was the offense itself, right? Because of AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, it's hard for them to stack and leave those guys, at least both of them, right? Single covered. And I thought that they would potentially try to get back to where Barkley was, I think, his second year with the Giants, where he caught more passes. If you could start to get him involved more in the passing game, then I think that's where you could start to utilize him more, because that spreads him out more. That gets, the threat of him doing more on the offense. So I wasn't as high on him, but I wasn't necessarily, when draft time was around, I wasn't like saying not to draft him or that he wasn't a first rounder. I was just saying he was the low end of that first round for me because of that same reason. Do they utilize him the same? Can they keep that same run heavy approach without passing him the ball? Because that's what I'm looking for those top receivers. You got to get them out there if they're catching the balls, because you're getting the points receiving the ball, and you're getting the yardage receiving as well.
All right. So what other notes you got for me this week for fantasy people here?
Let's see. Let's get up here. That was Thursday night. Let's see. Some players that I like this week. I like if
you got some more Thursday night, you've got more notes on Thursday night. You can do that too. How do you want to do it?
No, that was, I'm doing a little bit of highlight sport there, because there's not much really. Like I said, the Giants have been so bad against the run that I think that the Eagles are going to do what they want to do. It seems like what's been their game plan the whole year, right? Just keep the ball on the ground and control the clock. Let Hurts pass when he has to. Other than that, they're just going to grind it out, let the defense play good. So, and there's not much on the Giants side. Like I said, offense has been pretty stagnant, other than kind of the game. So, but if there's other fantasy, go over those specifically. But some of the players that I'm high on for the week. Oh, did you lose me?
No, I'm still. Yeah, you're frozen. You're frozen. I still hear you. Do you hear me, Rob? Are you there?
What's up there? There we go. Like Matthew Stafford, like we're talking, right? Against Ravens.
Uh-oh. Now I think I
Can you
lost
still
you.
hear me?
Hey, do me a favor. Jump off and jump back on. Let's try that. You hear me, Rob? Jump off and jump back on. All right. let me try to text him here because there's something going on with his internet is not wanting to work. Jump off and jump back on. All right, so we'll get to some of the comments here. And one thing I saw Esther's up here. Let's see here. Where you said he wouldn't want to share. Okay, yeah, you said Burrow would be upset if we won a Super Bowl this year and he had to share it. I don't. Who's he sharing it with? He's gonna have to share it with his teammates. So you say he had to share it with Flacco? I mean, I don't love you, Esther. You're awesome, but I don't think Joe Burrow would be upset, especially if Joe Flacco got us to 7 wins and Joe took us to the Super Bowl and won. I don't think Joe would be upset. So we'll see. Brad, what time are you gonna be at Moreling House next Thursday? Next Thursday, geez, that's a good question. That's a whole week away. It's 3 hours before game time. So what was it 8? You have to look at what time the kickoff is. And I'll be there 3 hours before that, if that helps you. So yeah, I don't do math very well. I was just trying to kill time. There we go. He went away. All right. Yeah, and Crip, where have you been? It's good. Go take your lap. What's wrong with you? You know we start at 5:30 around here. But like I said, if you guys missed it earlier, I had the QB rankings, or excuse me, QB record for the starters for different quarterbacks that the Bengals could have traded for. And these are their starts and the records from since 2023. Andy Dalton's 1-5, Drew Luck's 2-5, Jameis Winston's 2-5, Jimmy G 3-4, Sam Howell 4-13, Kirk Cousins 11-11, Russell Wilson 13-6, and our boy Joe Flacco 7-8. So my point to this is most of those are really bad stats. There's not a lot of wins there. You got Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, and Joe Flacco are like the best. I didn't want Russell Wilson. I didn't think he would be a good fit for this. And I think he's washed. I mean, he's had 3 different stops and he has not been good. So I wasn't on the Russell Wilson train. Kirk Cousins, I would have found him, but with his contract, I think it would have been too hard to get. And Robert, are you back? Can you hear me, Robert? Robert. Are you there, Robert? Hello, Robert. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
I don't think. Hello. Can you hear me? Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you. You got me? Technical difficulties on the side?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, you're saying you froze and then you started cutting in and out. So we'll see. Roddy, Bengals traditionally pull off these wins that games they're not supposed to win. Exactly. That's kind of what I've been saying. Brad, Ice, who will be let go when Jackpot comes back? Jake or Joe F? That's a good question. I think it'd be if Flacco is playing good, it sure as heck ain't gonna be Flacco. I can tell you that. And it probably be Browning, and they try to get him back on the practice squad is what I would think. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, he costs too much, exactly. And old man Flacco will have to do it. I'm with you, Ronnie. We are out of all the guys out there. I keep saying this. I think we got the best quarterback available to us, honestly. And he was never on my list because the Bengals and the Browns, literally since the Browns have come back, have never made a trade. This is the first time they made a trade. So I don't even think of Joe Flacco because one,
I didn't think that was starting
he was still starting for the Browns up until last week. So, think about it. All right. So we were talking fantasy football here. What do you got? So just you could go through for this week, who you start, who you bench, all that cool stuff.
Yeah. So like we're saying there, I think Matthew Stafford, right, is going against great setup with the Ravens, right? They're giving up number 1, 2 quarterbacks, and just go ahead and pile on there. Go ahead and put Puka Nacua. If you got Puka Nacua, number 1 fantasy receiver right now, he should be a must start every week for you. So great matchup this week for him. I like Ashton Genty. I've been pretty low on Ashton Genty, but not low. I think he's going to be a good player. I just didn't see as high of a quick jump for him in fantasy. So,
right.
But this week going against the Titans defense, it's given up the second most fantasy points to running backs. I would definitely play Ashton Genty if you've got him. So I like Jake Ferguson. The Panthers have been pretty good against quarterbacks, but their one weak spot has been tight end. So Jake Ferguson's #1 scoring tight end. So I don't see why the Cowboys don't keep feeding him this week too. So I would start him. On the players I'm avoiding this week, Kyler Murray, he's going against the Colts, and they rank 6th as opposed in regards to fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. So, and Kyler Murray's been banged up this week, so it's a tough matchup for him. So, as much as I want him to go because I got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's not doing shit for me, I wouldn't play Murray. I thought that's one of those ones. I'm like Harrison, right? I'm expecting that jump, but he's been disappointment. So Drake London,
worked out.
No, he hasn't, man. Like he's had a couple good ones, but he's not taking that Jackson Smith and Jigba jump that you're looking for the Ohio State receivers, right? So
how good has he been? How good has he been?
My God. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's crazy between that group of LSU and Ohio State receivers that all came out in that 3-4 year group are literally like
the wide receiver.
8 or 9 of the top 10 receivers in the league.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
and obviously Chase, Jefferson, and Neighbors are a pretty hard group.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good
to go against.
A little bit, yeah.
Pretty good. I mean, when you consider the top 2 receivers in the league are probably Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, it's like and Neighbors.
And they played on the same college team. That's crazy. They played on the same college team.
Ridiculous.
All right, so if you're
I was going to say, and Drake London, the Bills have given up the second fewest fantasy points to receivers this year. So their defense they've had some games where they've given up a couple shootouts that game against the Ravens, but that right now is looking more like an outlier when you look at what the Ravens have done. So I would avoid Drake London if you can. It's been a little bit tougher for Michael Penix this year than some people had thought. And Drake London's not having a bad year, but that's the one thing the Bills have been pretty good at this year. So, and then in the tight end position, Sam Laporta going against the Chiefs this week. They're second best against the tight end position in fantasy. And the Lions offense has been good enough all year. Obviously, like we said, they were averaging 40 points a game coming into the game last week. That week 1, Laporta had a good game, and then when he didn't have a good game, week 2, 3, and 4, their obviously offense did not miss a beat. So that's the one downfall about having somebody like Laporta, I think, as far as fantasy goes, is there's enough targets to go around that if Laporta's not feeling it early, he's not in the game plan or not in the swing, whatever it might be, right? They just adjust, and Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, or they all have good games. So I think this week, the same thing happens as far as the way I'm looking at things. I think Laporta has a little bit lower of a scoring game this week, and they just readjust, probably score 35 plus, and watch Montgomery, Gibbs, and Amon-Ra, St. Brown again.
There you go.
But those are some of the players I'm avoiding for this week. So I'll have the rest of my bullish and bearish list out. We'll be out tomorrow on YouTube. So check it out. I'll put some more players out there, and send me more questions. If you got specific roster questions, who you got start, sit questions, pick up waiver wire, let me know. I put the waiver wire video out on YouTube every Monday, sometimes Tuesday morning. So check those out, but you can always shoot me questions and I'll answer them for you.
Tell what's the name of the YouTube channel, just so everybody can find it.
It's don't look at ISIS because it's Bankroll Fantasy. I don't know what he's getting into. That's some different YouTube stuff. So that's my OnlyFans.
I said Fantasy Bankroll.
It's Fantasy Bankroll on YouTube. I post a little short cut-ups on TikTok as well if you like to watch it on there. But I'm posting usually Monday or Tuesday on my waiver wires, and then Thursday or Friday for my bullish bearish, so my start sit list for the week.
All right, so for the Bengals Packers game here, who are you starting? Who you think is going to have a good game? Who you sitting? Just as far as in general as that game goes. So from the Packers side of things, same thing we talked last week. Even though the Bengals did a great job of holding Gibbs and Montgomery in check as far as rushing wise, I think they only had 119 yards between the both of them, which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Gibbs did get the receiving touchdown, and as much as I hate that anytime anybody scores on us, it was good to see Montgomery score with his sister and attendance and all that stuff. Yeah. So at least that's some freaking solace I can take in that. But they did pretty good, and like I said, maybe it was me jinxing them and saying play Gibbs. Maybe I should say it this week, but I would play Josh Jacobs again too, because we're still ranked 32nd in both
fantasy points allowed to running backs and fantasy points in the red zone allowed to running backs. So if he gets the ball in the red zone, there's unfortunately a good chance that he's going to score, and there's a good chance he's going to score points even if he doesn't. So I would start him as far as on their side, and we're not very good against the tight end position. Stop me if you've heard this from a Bengals team in the last 15 years.
Shocking.
If you've got a tight end and they're playing the Bengals, go ahead and start them.
Yeah.
So Tucker Kraft should probably be started most weeks, but this week I would definitely start him too. And obviously on the Bengals side, Chase is a must start. He's Jamar Chase is a must start, right? T. Higgins, I mean, I obviously love him. I want to see how Flacco kind of fits with him. If he fits right into that, like I said, that Michael Pittman role,
right?
Flacco's trusting him with those contested balls, those red zone passes, then I think T. Higgins could be one of those T. Higgins where he catches 4 passes for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Type of game. So
I like it. I like where your head's at. Let's go, Rob. Keep going.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I said, if he was comfortable with Pittman, and no offense, Pittman, but T's a better player. So you know what? If you're the Packers, don't you just cloud over and take Jamar away anyway and say, beat us with somebody else. So and even though from last year, the offenses are different, but Flacco didn't target the tight ends very much in the middle of the field. But once he got inside the red zone, he was targeting those tight ends. So, if you have, a Fant Gesicki and you're in a deeper league and you need to start somebody, there's a chance that, that's who he's looking for inside the red zone as well, too. So, but in must starts, let me get back to must starts. Jamar Chase must start. I'd put T. Higgins in a probable start, depending upon who your other, receivers and matchups are. There's been a lot of injuries too. So, but those are the two. And I'd love to see personally, this is me personally, I wouldn't start him this week, but I do have Chase Brown in the league and I would love to see him get going, get some of them passes out there, get, some of them plays designed to get him out in space and let him use some of that quickness. That start-stop like we saw in that first touchdown against the Browns this year. That's what I want. Let's see that. Get him in space.
So what's your thoughts on like Noah Fant and Mike G about how many targets you think they're getting?
Well, so like I said, from just looking at last year, I didn't go to do like a deep dive on Flacco going back too far, but last year it looked like he wasn't now, and this is different too, right? He was Mo Alley Cox and some different tight ends that I don't even know if they're on rosters this year. So he wasn't targeting them that much until the red zone. And then they did get some red zone targets. So they might not, it might be if that T game isn't that, low reception yardage, but high touchdowns. If it's not for T, that could be a 1 touchdown for Mike G, 1 touchdown for Noah Fant. They could just spread it along there too. So I could easily see that. I think once you get into the red zone, I think depending upon how the Packers play, I think if they're throwing it, I think the chances are it's going to be one of those toss-up kind of isolate Gesicki, Fant, T Higgins out, and kind of at least one of those. One of those first and second downs is going to be a back corner fade, back shoulder fade type of play. So
I agree with Ronnie here. He said the run game won't work until the Bengals establish passing. And that's where I think, which is kind of funny that we say it, but for this offense, I think the pass has got to establish the run. And that to me, that means more of the, and I hate to say the word checkdowns because we get tired of Jake Browning doing that. But I think Joe will use the checkdowns and stuff as checkdowns, not as your number one option. It's going to be different this year or this week, I think, than what we've seen the last couple weeks.
Well, there's a difference between, like you said, a check down being a check down or a check down being okay, it's supposed to be a check down, but I'm so flustered in the pocket that I'm immediately looking at my check down and making it my primary. There were so many times, like especially last week, that Jake just it felt like one step back and he was like, all right, where's my check down? And it would allow the D to already flow up, and he didn't even give them a chance to be able to hit anything behind it. So I think you're right. I think Flacco lets it become more of a check down, and like we said, I think he takes and lets the guys who have they can make the plays, gets the ball in their hands quickly and get it out of my statue ass and give it to Chase. Let him. How many times have we seen Chase just catch like a 1 yard bubble route? Gone. He's just people don't expect he's going to accelerate. He's harder to pull down. Just get the ball to him. Let's get 5 or 6 on first down. You know what I mean? Like that puts us ahead of the sticks. So that's going to be big. I think he'll take those a lot more because, like you said, it was for Jake. It was like, okay, pre-snap read is I think I've got a deep shot. Okay, I've got a deep shot. Throw it.
Yeah.
I think I've got a deep shot. Okay, they took the deep shot away. Panic. Like,
Yeah.
that was it.
Right.
So that interception he threw last
He's
week.
actually going to have progression. And the thing is, people are like, well, he's not going to have time behind that offensive line. Joe Flacco could do it quicker. That's the thing. He can process things. Like I said, literally, Jamar Chase said, Zach Taylor read him off a play, and he blurted it out word for word perfectly the first time he heard it. The brain is there. The arm is still there. He knows he's got football knowledge that most people don't know. So he can process things, make decisions faster. And like I said, there isn't going to be anything he hasn't seen before. I mean, he's 40 years old and been playing quarterback since, 2008? I mean, it's a long damn time to be a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, he can at least process 2 reads in that 3 seconds.
You would think so.
Let's get through 2 reads. That's all we need most of the time.
Right. Exactly. Amy, I hope I'm saying your name right. I know you've been commenting a lot on my videos and stuff. I appreciate it. She said, I hope Zach plays more aggressively and has confidence in our team. And that's the thing too. All right. That's a great point. I think in general, this team, coaching staff, offense, defense, Joe Flacco gives them back that confidence. Not same as Joe Burrow, but it's damn near close to what they had before because they know Joe Flacco can make the throws and make the right decisions. So I think that confidence, that swagger starts coming back.
Yeah, no, you got to have confidence in your. We've said it both ways, right? Like, you got to have confidence in your play caller to call the right plays. Well, the play caller has to have confidence that the play he's calling is going to get ran right,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
And then you got to think too, the other players hear that play call. So Jamar goes out there and he's like, this play is designed to come to me. And then he turns around open and he's like, why are we already sacked, or we just checked it down?
Right. What happened?
He's like, so that the confidence in, so then not that I would never say that he starts, but you start to go like, all right, this play is designed for me. Every person's got to start to question, right? Like, all right, is Jake even going to be able to see or get through this play long enough to get it to me to where I need to get? Like, you start to question it too. Like, all right, Zach, let's not call a deep crosser because Jake ain't going to get to it.
Right. Now, one thing here, I just, when you put this up here, I've been saying this a lot, but this just crossed my mind when Paul, he said, and throw the ball away when needed, which Joe Flacco is going to do that. My thought is this. Is that going to rub off on Joe Burrow? Joe Flacco's experience of getting rid of the ball and just throwing it away. Because how many times have we seen Joe Burrow hang on to the ball too long and get sacked or whatever when he could just throw it away? Well, so I want to beat around Joe Flacco and seeing him do that. I wonder if that actually rubs off on Joe Burrow.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it does. I don't think it does because I think Joe Burrow is hardwired how he's hardwired. And I think, and I'm not saying that I know what Joe's thinking, but I think the way I think is the only injury, unless I'm completely, not thinking correctly, the only major injury that he's got from holding on to the ball too long would be the one he got this year, right? Like, I don't think the wrist injury was him holding on to the ball too long, maybe extending the play too far to the right. Maybe, I guess that we can get into like that gray area.
Just for him to take less hits in general. That's kind of where I'm at because he takes way too many damn hits.
Well, that's what I think for him. What did he say, that big hit, right? What was that when he sat down with Kyle Brandt, right? And he was like, he got that hit and it was Myles Garrett looping around and killing him week 1, right? And he goes, yeah, that's football. That's how I think he sees the hits.
Oh, that is the way he sees it. That is.
So and I don't think that changes. And then I think in his head, he's like, well, I've really only been injured from this year. Other than that, I could have maybe dumped it. But I think he's like, I'm going to get hit and I don't know when I'm going to get hurt. So, fuck it. Just keep getting hit and keep making plays.
Well,
I mean, that's how I think. I don't think Joe rubs off on him at all. I think maybe, maybe how he prepares, and Joe is cerebral like that. So he'll look at like, how does somebody who's been in the league this long approach? What does he look at? What is he, asking? Maybe that way. I don't think Joe's game style changes until he quits playing football.
I don't even think giving rid of the ball when there's no chance of a play happening and taking a sack are two different things. I don't think that's just being smart on your health. That's what I think. But
no, I think I agree with you. I'm just saying I think Joe Burrow thinks that at any millisecond he's going to be able to make a play that's going to change the game, right? He's like,
I know.
I'm getting crushed right now.
I can still throw it.
As I'm falling down, I see a flash.
Yeah, exactly.
And Joe, in his mind, believes it's getting completed.
I believe that too, because I've said this a million times. Joe's a psychopath. Rob, I got to get out of here. I appreciate it because I'm wearing red today because I'm going to my nephew's high school football game. So they're red and white. That's why I'm wearing red stuff today. So we're gonna cut the show a little short. But we'll be back here next Thursday again. Rob's gonna join us every Thursday doing fantasy football, talking Bengals and whatever else we want to talk about. So do me a favor, plug your channel, put the right name out there, unlike what I put on there.
Yeah, so come check it out. Please subscribe, Fantasy Bankroll. Like I said, I'll be posting a couple times a week. If you got any questions or any fantasy shows, any topics you want to talk about, you want me to do a show on, send them my way. I'll put something out there. I'll answer your questions. We'll talk some roster. So let's do it.
Sounds good, Rob. I'll see you next Thursday, brother. Who day?
Go Who day?
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. So like I said, sorry, I got to end it. I'm going to go watch my nephew's last home football game for the year. So I'm going to go watch it. But thanks for live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all those on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Also, check out my Substack articles. I haven't written one in a couple of days. I will probably try to write one tomorrow. So check that out. Thanks for all the views on the reels and the shorts and everything else you guys are doing. You guys are doing an awesome job supporting the show. I appreciate it. Do me a favor. If you could support the podcast, I'll be pulling the sound off later on tonight. Put it on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment and a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. And all of this, everything I just said, it's all under Sports with Strawberry Ice.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping required. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
Again, we will be down at Moorline Lager House this Sunday. The game is at 4:25. So I'll be down there starting around 3:30, playing some music, giving away surprises, having some fun. We got $5 drafts, $5 well drinks, $5 wines, $5 shot of the day. Let's go down, get together, have some fun, root on Joe Flacco and the Bengals, beat the Green Bay Packers, and get us back in this race. Ronnie, yes, I am curious to know how the defense will play against the Bengals offense. Now, knowing that there's a quarterback that can read defenses, I am very curious about that, Ron. I can't wait to see it. Come on down. Well, I know you're in Arizona, but when you come in town, come hang out at the tailgate. Remember one thing and one thing only. That's Who Day for life. And throw it up as always. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.